Israel is a Middle Eastern country on the Mediterranean Sea. Its history predates biblical times. It is regarded by Jews, Christians and Muslims as the biblical Holy Land. Its most sacred sites are in Jerusalem. However, there are other sites that are also important to Christians and Jews. In this video, we explore the history of Yeshua or Jesus, who was a first-century Jewish preacher and religious leader. Through language transformation, he became known as Jesus. Archaeologists have found the name carved into 71 burial caves in Israel, dating from the time the historical Jesus would have been alive. His ideology led him to become a central figure of Christianity, the world's largest religion. We start the exploration at the Church of Annunciation, which is in Nazareth. This location is important because it is the first evidence of Jesus' early history. The church marks the location where Mary, a first-century Jewish woman of Nazareth and the wife of Joseph, learned that she will give birth to Jesus. The church was built above the original Byzantine church, so it is a church within a church. The current church was completed in 1969. Several earlier churches were built at this location dating back to the original structure built around 570 AD commemorating Jesus' life. The original church remains can be seen in the section known as the Grotto. This region of Israel known as Judea was under Roman Empire rule at the time of Jesus. Caesar Augustus, 63 BC to 14 AD, was the first Roman emperor. He reigned for 45 years and was ruling during Jesus' history. At that time, the Romans practiced paganism, which referred to the practice of polytheism or ethnic religions other than Judaism. Ritual sacrifice was an integral part of ancient Greek-Roman religion and was regarded as an indication that a person was pagan. Here, you will see evidence of earlier churches and grotto. The lower level contains the Grotto of the Annunciation, believed to be the remains of the original childhood home of Mary. At that time, Herod I was appointed by the Romans as a king of Judea. Although he initiated many building projects, he was thought to be a cruel leader. Mary and Joseph moved to Bethlehem to give birth to Jesus. In order to visit Jesus' birthplace, we must travel to Bethlehem, located in the West Bank on the Palestinian side. The birthplace is located inside the Church of Nativity. The original church was commissioned by a Roman Emperor Constantine I, who reigned from 306 to 337 AD and was the first one to convert to Christianity. The church was likely built between 330 and 333. Since then, church was destroyed and rebuilt several times. Most of the destruction was due to looting, wars, and cancel culture still practiced today in modern societies. The Church of the Nativity is now divided in three sections: Armenian Church, Greek Orthodox, and Roman Catholic Church. In 2012, Church of Nativity was given protection as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Inside the church, stairs lead to a cave with a hole with a star around it. Below and inside the hole you can see the cave. This holy site, known as the Nativity Grotto, is thought to be the cave in which Jesus was born. In 135, Emperor Hadrian had the site above the grotto converted into a worship place for Adonis, the Greek goddess of beauty and desire. Modern scholars generally believe that it was the Christians who took it over, substituting it with the worship of Jesus. There are several historical artifacts and archaeological digs in the church from the time of Jesus. Herod I died in 4 BCE before birth of Jesus. Jesus' parents with Jesus returned to Nazareth, where Jesus grew up and spent much of his early life. There is no evidence of his childhood or early life in Nazareth. Some writings suggest that Jesus as a youth was a fast learner. Jesus was baptized at about age 30 by John the Baptist on the banks of River Jordan. Thereafter he became a preacher and healer. In his mid-30s Jesus had a short public career during which he attracted considerable attention. In order to learn more, we go to Yardenit. Although the exact location of Jesus' baptism is not known, Yardenit is where Christian pilgrims go for baptism. To get more evidence of Jesus and his ideology we need to go to Tabgha, where there is a church known as Church of Tabgha or Church of the Multiplication of the Loaves and Fish, shortened to the Church of the Multiplication. The modern church rests on the site of two earlier churches. The church was built around a black rock underneath the church altar, which is said to be the place where Jesus blessed and broke bread to share with the people. The church covers a 5th century mosaic on the floor featuring a basket of bread being flanked by two fishes. The mosaic is the earliest known example of figured pavement in Christian art. At this location, Jesus is said to have fed 5,000 people. How this occurred is not factually known. However, we can infer that his ideology espoused loving one's neighbor, concept of sharing, and charity. During his time, his ideology went against the grain of Roman ideology that was based on conquest, greed, wealth in the hands of the few, and heavy taxation. This is pretty much status quo in modern civilization. To learn more about Jesus' ideology, we need to travel to the Mount of Beatitudes located not far from Tabgha. A Byzantine church was erected lower down the slope from the current site in the 4th century, and it was used until the 7th century. Remains of a monastery are still visible. The current Roman Catholic chapel was built in 1937. The Mount of Beatitudes is believed to be the setting for Jesus's most famous exposition of his ideology known as the Sermon on the Mount. The exact site of the Sermon on the Mount is unknown. Pilgrims commemorate the event at the 8-sided Church of the Beatitudes, built on the slope of the mount. The Sermon on the Mount is a collection of sayings and teachings attributed to Jesus, which emphasizes moral conduct. The sermon is the longest continuous discourse of Jesus found in the New Testament of the Bible and has been one of the most widely quoted. It includes some of the best-known teachings of Jesus, such as the Beatitudes. The Sermon on the Mount is generally considered to contain the central tenets of Christianity. The original 4 basic Beatitudes are blessings and give hope to followers. They are as follows: Blessed are you poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you that hunger now, for you shall be satisfied. Blessed are you that weep now, for you shall laugh. Blessed are you when men hate you, and when they exclude you and revile you, and cast out your name as evil, on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day, and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. For so their fathers did to the prophets. To learn more about Jesus, we must travel to Jerusalem. By the age of about 33, Jesus had a large established following. There are accounts that Jesus had visited Jerusalem several times as a child for festival events and later in years to continue his teachings. At least on one occasion, Jesus was brought as a child to Jerusalem to attend the festival of Passover. This is a festival which celebrates the escape of the ancient Israelites from Egyptian slavery. Various accounts indicate that Jesus was in Jerusalem for a week before his death. Jesus and his disciples were celebrating the Passover meal together at Mount Olive in Jerusalem. There are other accounts that Jesus was in Jerusalem to demonstrate against Roman imperial and Pontius Pilate control over Jerusalem. The Mount of Olives is a mountain range on the eastern border of the city of Jerusalem. Jesus often went there to pray and meet with his disciples. The Mount of Olives was named for the olive groves that lined the hillside. To this day, there is an olive tree over 2,000 years old on the hillside. Today, the Church of All Nations is located at Mount Olive. The current church rests on the foundations of 2 earlier ones, that of a 4th century Byzantine basilica, destroyed by an earthquake in 746, and of a small 12th century Crusader chapel abandoned in 1345. There are numerous archaeological digs and artifacts dating to the time of Jesus. The Church of All Nations is also known as the Church or Basilica of the Agony. The church property encompasses several small olive groves gardens. It encompasses an olive garden known as Gethsemane where Jesus underwent the agony in the garden and was arrested before his execution. It enshrines a section of bedrock outside the church near the olive trees where Jesus is said to have prayed before being betrayed by Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus's early disciples, and being arrested. Jesus went through various trials. He was first tried before a Jewish judicial body consisting of an elite council of priestly and lay elders following his arrest in Jerusalem. He was found guilty of various offenses, violating the Sabbath law, by healing on the Sabbath, threatening to destroy the Jewish temple, practicing sorcery, exorcising people by the power of demons, and claiming to be the Messiah, a savior in Judaism. There is no factual evidence where the trials took place after his arrest. According to recent archaeological accounts, the more probable site for the final trial of Jesus was before Pontius Pilate near Tower of David. He was finally taken to Pontius Pilate, the governor of Roman Judea, to be tried for inciting people to riot, forbidding the people to pay their taxes, claiming to be the king of the Jews. At that time Pontius Pilate was governor of the Roman province of Judea, serving under the Roman Emperor Tiberius Caesar Augustus. He was a politician who favored political correctness. What that means is that he wanted to please higher-ups and ensure he had public support of people of Judea. He is best known for being the official who presided over the trial of Jesus. The prosecutors pressured Pontius Pilate, the only one with power to impose a death sentence, to call for his crucifixion. Pontius Pilate was reluctant to execute Jesus, favoring lesser form of punishment, but ultimately yielded and ordered his crucifixion. At that time crucifixion was a common method of capital punishment used by Romans in which the victim is tied or nailed to a large wooden cross or beam and left to hang until eventual death from exhaustion and asphyxiation. Via Dolorosa was the route Jesus was forced to carry the cross to the destination where the cross was erected with Jesus on it. The Via Dolorosa, or Way of Suffering, is the traditional route to Golgotha, the place of crucifixion, and is an important pilgrimage site. The route ends at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. As we walk through Via Dolorosa, we can see a handprint located on a wall on the Via Dolorosa where Jesus is said to have stumbled against the wall. There are other sites on the Via Dolorosa recognized by the Christian pilgrims. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre is a church in the Old City of Jerusalem. It contains the two holiest sites in Christianity, the site where Jesus was crucified at a place known as Golgotha, and Jesus' empty tomb, where he is believed to have been buried. Its exact location is uncertain, but most scholars prefer either the spot now covered by the Church of the Holy Sepulchre or a hillock called Gordon's Calvary just north of the Damascus Gate. Earliest records reveal a rock-cut tomb identified as the burial site of Jesus. In 312, Constantine I, a Roman emperor, began to favor Christianity. He sent his mother, Helena, to Jerusalem to look for Jesus' tomb. After discovery of some artifacts, Constantine ordered in about 326 that the temple to Jupiter/Venus be replaced by a church. Excavation at the temple revealed a rock-cut tomb that Helena identified as the burial site of Jesus. In 327, Constantine and Helena separately commissioned the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem to commemorate the birth of Jesus. The church has been damaged through subsequent wars, pillaging and fire and rebuilt.